A couple of days later, we are back on this RV. So we got all the parts that we need to fix this vehicle. I'm gonna show you the parts and then I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna film the process of changing the vacuum pump seal, and then everything else I'm gonna do off camera. So we're gonna do the transmission fluid change and the fluid filter change. I'm gonna do that off camera. I have 1 or 2 videos here on the channel about that. So if you wanna know how to change the fluid and the fluid filter on the transmission on the Sprinter van, I recommend you watch my old video. We're also gonna change the rear differential pinion seal. I have a video about that. I recommend you watch that video. We're also gonna do a rear differential fluid change. I also have a video about that. So everything, all the projects that I already filmed in the past, I'm not gonna film on this one. We might still do these projects in the future, but for now, I'm gonna refer you to the old projects that I did. So we got everything from Mercedes. So this over here is our transmission fluid filter. This is the part number. Let me open this and show this to you. So here's our brand new transmission filter. This is the drain plug crush washer. Now, remember the fill plug, the seal on the fill plug was leaking, so we got a new fill cap. We have a new fill cap. We also have the tube for it. Here's the part number. We got everything from Mercedes. And then this over here is the crush nut for the pinion, the rear differential pinion, rear differential sleep yoke. So this is the nut for it. So when you undo this nut, you have to replace it. And then this is the pinion seal. Again, I have a video about this, so if you want to know how I'm going to replace this, I recommend you watch the video. And then I believe this is the part number here. And then this little O-ring over here, this is the O-ring for the oil level sensor. We're going to remove the oil level sensor and replace the O-ring. And once again, I have a video about this if you want to know how it's done. And then these are the bolts for the vacuum pump. So I got 4 new bolts for it. We're going to replace the bolts. And this is the vacuum pump gasket. Okay, and this is the gasket that's leaking. Okay, so we got all our parts here. And then this over here is our turbo actuator. Remember I said I'm going to recommend replacing the turbo actuator. So we're going to install this one. Okay. Once again, I'm going to replace this off camera. I have about 2 or 3 videos on how to replace this turbo actuator. So if you want to know how I'm going to do it, I recommend you watch that video. Okay. And then this over here is the transmission oil pan gasket. So we're going to replace the oil pan gasket. And then these over here, these fancy bottles that you see, this is transmission fluid. Okay, we got the fluid from Mercedes. We have a couple quarts here that we need to do the transmission flush. And then we have gear oil. Actually, these bottles look the same, but if cameraman Kyler can zoom in, you'll see this one says automatic transmission fluid, and this one here says genuine rear axle oil. Okay, so the bottles look the same, but it's different types of fluid. All right, so that's everything. Now let's go under the hood. Let's replace the vacuum pump seal. Once we replace that, then I'm gonna do everything off camera. After I replace everything, I will bring you guys back up so we can take this van for a test drive. So now let's go under the hood. I am going to remove the air filter box. Now, you can remove the radiator shroud to remove the vacuum pump, but I'm gonna try not to do that unless we have to. So let's get this removed. All right, so I have a drain container under the vehicle. So we're gonna undo this line. Let me release the pressure. Oh, actually the other thing I also forgot to show you guys is we are also gonna change the air filter. I do have the air filter here. So I recommended changing the air filter. The fuel filter was changed not too long ago, and the cabin air filter also looks clean. So I told Mr. J we're not going to change that. I mean, you can clearly say you can clearly see that the fuel filter here, Kyler, if you can show this filter, as you can see, the fuel filter looks new. So it looks like it was replaced not too long ago. So we're not going to change that. I told Mr. J he doesn't need a fuel filter. We're just going to change the air filter. So I'm going to fold this out of the way, just like that. And then because once I get this bracket out, then I can disconnect the vacuum line that goes to the brake booster. There. Now we can remove this bracket. And then this line over here, I should be able to now disconnect this line. Nice. Just like that. So this is the vacuum supply line that supplies vacuum to the brake booster. So we're just going to push it out of the way. All right. So this vacuum pump has 4 bolts. So remember, one was missing over here. So this one is missing. There's one over here. So I'm going to undo that. So here's one vacuum pump bolt. Then there's another one over here. So there are 2 over here, but to remove those 2, I have to remove this EGR tube. So this EGR tube has to come out. And since we're gonna remove this EGR tube, we have to replace the EGR tube gaskets too. I do have those gaskets, so that's no big deal. Okay, so we're gonna remove this bolt. And then the last one over here. Okay, here it comes. Now we can remove this tube. Okay, here comes the front EGR tube. It's not really dirty, a little bit, but nothing too crazy. So we're gonna get it out of the way. So now we're gonna use some sharp towels to plug the opening of the EGR tube, because when we're removing the vacuum pump bolts, we don't want to drop anything in here. Okay, so that's good. Now you guys won't be able to see the bolts back here, but we have 2 bolts over here that I have to undo. So there's one up here. I don't know if cameraman Kyler can see that. Yeah, a little bit. So there's that one, and then there's another one down here. Okay, so I'm gonna undo those 2 bolts, and then after that the vacuum pump should be able to come out. Okay, and we did get new bolts. You see how, look how wet the bolt for the vacuum pump is. So if the bolt for the vacuum pump comes out this wet, this is an indication of a leaking vacuum pump gasket. Okay. And then there's another one over here. So the vacuum pump gasket was leaking very badly. Okay, and then we have a couple more that we have to undo, because this bracket over here needs to come out. So I'm gonna undo this one. We don't have to remove that bolt, it can just stay there. And then there's another one. You guys won't be able to see it, but it's back here. So once I undo this bolt, this bracket is now gonna come out. I'm sorry if my hands are in the way. Kyler, I don't know if you can see this nut over here. You see it? Yeah, so that's the bolt I'm removing. The bolt is facing that way. Okay, so now this bracket is gonna come out. Okay, we got the bolt out. So this bracket should come out. Look, see how much oil we have on this bracket? So that's your problem, Mr. J. All right, so now our vacuum pump should be able to come out. We're just gonna slide it out like that. Easy peasy. Here it is. Okay, so if you look, you see how dry it is over here? Look at the gasket. You see how dry? Let me point this out. You see how dry it is over here? It wasn't leaking here, but look how wet it is here. So this is where the oil leak is. It was leaking from this area. Okay, very nice. So now I'm gonna, actually we can just put this over here. I'm gonna wipe this down. We're gonna wipe this surface down. Oh, it looks like there is silicone. Someone put silicone over here. Hold on. Do you see this, Kyler? Yeah, someone put silicone here. So it looks like they knew that it was leaking, and then they freaking put silicone there. You're not supposed to put silicone there. Just the gasket alone should be able to do. Just the gasket alone should do it. So let me grab a razor blade. We're gonna clean off this surface, and then we're gonna replace this gasket. All right, so let's clean off this silicone. I'm gonna block the opening of the vacuum pump because we don't wanna drop the dirt in the engine all this silicone that was put here. So I'm cleaning this matting surface here of the vacuum pump with a razor blade. So we want to make sure we get all the silicone removed. Okay, look how clean it looks. What do you think, Kyler? Think it's clean? Nice. Okay, now since there was an oil leak around this area, if you look at this hole, you see how dry this one is versus this one? So there is probably a little bit of oil in this hole and this one. If we just put a bolt there and tighten it, there will be oil trapped in the hole, in this hole, and that's gonna prevent the bolt from tightening all the way. And if you force it, you can ruin the threads. So we're gonna need our air nozzle to clean this. See how much oil is coming out of it? Yeah, so we have to make sure we get the oil, we get these threaded holes cleaned. Okay, then there's another one over here. Nice. See how clean they look now? Very good. So now we're gonna prep our vacuum pump. So we're just gonna remove the gasket. We're gonna lift it up just like that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this gasket is really flat. Yeah, it's worn out. That's trash. Now we're not gonna trash the pump, but we're gonna trash the gasket. Okay, let's get this razor blade and clean this. Okay, now some of you might ask me in the comments, is the vacuum pump timed? No, it's not timed. Okay, as long as you get these notches lined up with the camshaft, you're good to go. This is not timed. Okay, so we're gonna wipe this down very well. Okay, so now let's grab our new gasket. Look at the new one. Look how nice and shiny it is. So we're gonna install it. It's gonna go this way. Just like that. Nice. We got our vacuum pump ready. Now I'm gonna install it. It's gonna go right here. So we just need to make sure that it's lined up. This is the fun part. There. Okay. Very nice. Now let's get our new bolts. Now these bolts are identical. They're all the same length. So it doesn't really matter which one goes where. I'm gonna install this one over here first. Okay, nice. And then we're gonna install our bracket. Okay, so now we're gonna install the other ones that go down here. Now, since the one on the bottom, if I put the bolt on the socket and go down like this, it might fall. So what I like to do is you get a piece of the sharp towel and then jam the, oops, let's just do this. And then you jam your bolt between the sharp towel and your socket. I was using the wrong socket, so we need this one. It's a E10, if some of you were wondering. So right there. So now if I do this, my bolt is not going to fall. So now we're gonna go, oops. All right, so now I'm gonna grab a torque wrench so we can torque the vacuum pump bolt. So now we're gonna torque the bolt for the vacuum pump. The torque spec for the vacuum pump bolt is 124 inch-pound. So I'm using an inch-pound torque wrench. We have it set up to 124 inch-pound. Right there. I hope you can hear the torque wrench click. So that's torqued to 124 inch-pound. That's torqued. Okay. I'm gonna try the bottom one. Right there. So that's torqued. That's good. I'm just double checking these ones. Perfect. All right. So we got all of them torqued. We're good to go. So now we're gonna install, actually, I'm gonna tighten now we're gonna tighten this bolt here. Nice. And then there's another one over here. Nice. Okay. So since we removed this EGR tube, we're gonna clean this off, and then we're gonna replace the EGR tube seals. Okay, so we're gonna clean this very well, and then we will install the seals. So I'm gonna grab the seals. Actually, here's one. I always like to replace these seals. Every time I remove the tube, I have to replace this. So I'm gonna grab the new seals, and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, so here are our new EGR tube gaskets. We're gonna install these two gaskets. So I'm gonna clean this. And then I'm gonna clean the surface over here too. All right, so that's pretty good. We have to make sure that these surfaces here are really clean. Okay. Okay, so I got our new gasket installed there. So now we're gonna install nice. So just like that. And then we're gonna install this one over here. Sorry, my hand is gonna be in the way. Because the way this goes is we have to make sure that our holes are lined up. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that the holes on the gasket line up. With the tube. Yeah, installing these little screws can be very tricky. Yeah, we're good. Now we're gonna put the bottom ones. Okay, now we're gonna install nice. So we're gonna torque these bolts too. Same torque spec, 24 inch-pound. It's good. Let's torque this one here. Nice. All right, so we're gonna torque this one now. Right there. Torque wrench clicked. Let's do the same thing on this one. All right, good. So we have torqued all the bolts. So now I'm going to install our vacuum line. So this line is going to go right here. No, I think it was going behind this hose. Yeah, just like that. Very nice. Okay. And then the next step is going to be installing this little bracket here. This guy. All right, so that's good. We're almost done. So now what's next? The next thing is installing this hose right there. Perfect. All right, so just like that, easy peasy. Okay, we are done for now. We have resealed the vacuum pump. I'm gonna do the rest off camera, and then I will bring you guys back up so we can take this on a test drive. All right, guys, we are almost done with this RV. We did a lot of work to this. I replaced the turbo actuator, we did the oil change, we replaced the vacuum pump seal. I also replaced the air filter. I replaced the oil filter. I also replaced the front strut mount. And then we also replaced the rear differential pinion seal. And we also replaced the transmission fluid and transmission filter. So we gave this RV a lot of love. And our friend, Mr. J, is gonna be happy to have his vehicle back. So we're done. We're gonna take this on a test drive, and then I'm gonna call Mr. J so he can come pick up his vehicle. So we're gonna turn the key on. I have the scan tool connected to the vehicle. Remember, we had a boost positioner fault. I'm sorry for the glare. Let me put this down here. I'm going to erase the codes, and then we're gonna go on a test drive and see what happens. So this is a Dodge, it's a 2007 Dodge Sprinter. So right there, the scan tool has identified the vehicle. We're gonna click OK. I'm gonna clear all the codes. We already read the codes last time, so we don't need to reread the codes. Right there, the scan tool is done clearing the codes out of these 8 control units. Let's go into the engine computer and scan the engine computer. Right there, we got no codes in the engine computer. So now, actually, I'm going to look at the data. Let's grab our boost PSI control data group. I'm going to graph the boost data PID. Okay, so I'm gonna put my scan tool up here. I'm going to start the engine. As you can see, we don't have the lights on the dash. So I'm gonna close the hood, and then we're gonna go on a test drive. So I'm gonna put our scan tool up here. I will be looking at the boost data PID as we're driving. Now let's take this RV for a spin. All right, so we are on the road. So far, so good. Our boost data PID looks fine. So this is good. So our friend Mr. J is going to be happy. I like how this vehicle is driving. We're good to go. What do you think, Ian? You think it's fixed?
I think I fixed it.
Good job, buddy. You did a good job.
Thank you.
All right, so this is good. I mean, I'm not gonna keep the camera on for a long time. We're gonna turn around somewhere up there, and then we're gonna go back to the shop. So once I get back to the shop, I will bring you guys back up so we can wrap up this video. This is good. Yeah, this van has got a lot of power. Yeah, we're done. So we are pulling into our parking lot. So this vehicle is fixed. The RV is good to go. It drives so much better. All right. So right there, that's the maximum boost that we built. All right. So now I'm gonna turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. All right, guys, that's it. Ian, what do you think?
I think it's pretty good.
The thing is fixed?
I think it's fixed.
All right, so we're gonna leave this right over here. Mr. J, thank you for your business. This van needed a lot of love and we fixed it. Once again, Mr. J drove from Texas to come here. So Mr. J, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for supporting our business. I'm sure when you pick up this vehicle tomorrow, you'll be happy. So everybody, if you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. See you guys next time.